Jack, it's a terrible day for all football fans, especially for football fans of Arsenal, Tottenham, Liverpool, Manchester United, City. Because unfortunately, our man has left us. He's given us beautiful times, but unfortunately, our man Graham Potter has been sacked by
You're a
Chelsea.
funny, you're a funny guy. You're in good form.
Jack, it's devastating, man. Like, what a time to be alive. Chelsea, Chelsea were doing terrible under him, and I was loving every minute of it. Now he's gone. It's like, where's the enjoyment? You
Right.
know, can't listen. I can't tune into Chelsea getting battered or just losing to Southampton randomly, but it happens anyway. But let's kind of get into it now, Jack. Graham Potter has been sacked by Chelsea, and it's a thing that we've talked about for a long period of time after this terrible run that he's been through. And with Chelsea, will it happen? Will it will it not happen? He got through that big time after beating, was it Borussia Dortmund? Yeah,
Yeah.
got through that time. You're thinking, okay, got a few wins there. Beat Dortmund, he's gonna at least make it to the end of the season. The fact that they sack him, Jack, with 10 games to go, and granted, yes, there is a Champions League quarterfinal there, but where are you going with this? Like, what is the issue here?
I, I think it's an attitude problem. Like, and here's what I'll say. I think this was a guy that was so comfortable that he was only going to be assessed starting next season, that he'd already kind of mentally switched off for next season. I don't know about you, press conferences, interviews, people at home as well. Like, I'm not telling you to be like a massive nerd like me and watch all that stuff, but you learn so much from the moment the final whistle goes, halftime, pre-match, post-match interviews, pre-match, post-match press conferences. I recommend you watch them, not just the team you support, any rivals or anything, because it gives you a really good sense of what's going on. James Graham Potter was like relatively relaxed while his team of superstars that they spend all this money on are getting battered in like quite an embarrassing way. You look at the best managers, the results that they were getting would be unacceptable. Like, to a point where they're mad. Stuff's happening, like anger, frustration, right? Doing stuff that is kind of out of character because they want to just stir things up to get the ship going in the right direction again. Graham Potter seemed relatively chill, making jokes in press conferences and stuff. Like I said at the beginning, like he knew, I'm only really going to be assessed once I've got Christopher Nkunku in here. Maybe I've brought in a couple of my own players. Another couple of guys are gone. My guy Todd, we speak all the time on the phone. Like, I'm good. It's like, no, you need to set the standards early. And like we've talked about before, the transition period thing. And I'm not saying it's been easy for him, but the transition period thing, you got a team of bona fide superstars. You should be beating Villa at home. You should be, or at least a draw, right? You should be not losing to these kinds of teams. And his win percentage in particular is what really let him down. For me, if you force me to say, like, what's your one word answer as to why it didn't work? Attitude. I think it's just the wrong attitude. That was my main
Uh,
glaring thing, I think.
Um, Jack, I have in front of me. Let me just read out his record here because
Yeah.
I feel like that's a big thing. Because at the end of the day, no matter what you say, can you tell me about the philosophies, this and that. Football is a results-based business. You win, more than likely you're gonna have a chance of like staying in a job. You
Right.
lose, what's gonna happen? That's gonna
Yeah.
happen. But like at his time at Chelsea, let's look at the Premier League first. 22 games, Jack. He won seven, yeah, drawn seven, lost eight.
Yeah, it's
For a
embarrassing.
team of Chelsea standard, terrible. Conceded 22, scored 22, Jack. You know, I think they failed to score in nine of his 22 games is like Chelsea manager. And watching the game against Villa, it was the thing where it's kind of they huffed and puffed, and you never really believed that Chelsea were going to break the deadlock there. And you mentioned that word about attitude. One of the things that probably got me, as you were saying that, was when Mikel Arteta signed for, became Arsenal manager. Jack was so on board with Mikel Arteta.
Yeah.
I'll be truthfully honest, I was a bit relax here. But Jack was so on it. And the biggest thing for me with Jack was his attitude in his press conference. Jack used to love the way he talked and everything like that.
Yeah.
Like the way he came off. And people may say it's not a big deal, but yes, it is. Having that bit of arrogance as a manager is a massive thing. Wenger came in with a bit of Ferguson always had it. Mourinho
Right.
always had it. Pep
Oh,
came with it, you know?
Klopp.
When he first walked in, he had that charm about him. But even when he accepted that Liverpool weren't going to win a title, he still wanted results, you know? And
Eric
listen,
Ten Hag, like again, we're seeing stuff, and again, obviously he's recently been fired and it's not worked out. But a guy who comes in with a bit of intensity and a bit of, oh my God, this guy means business. Antonio Conte was that guy too.
100%.
Recently with Spurs, obviously, but like still, it's the same kind of thing. This kind of relaxed attitude to Champions League quarterfinals, semi-finals, whatever. Like
But
not even hitting the 40-point mark in the Premier League. It's like, dude, like you're the manager at Chelsea. I don't know where you think you are right now.
listen, as much as I wasn't big fan of how Antonio Conte conducted himself at Tottenham, at least you've seen that the guy cared. He cared about not just like Spurs, but he cared more about himself. But in like he showed it, he meant it. When things weren't going well, he didn't say, "Oh yeah, the boys tried." No, he said, "My players didn't did this. Maybe he's not good enough." There, he called out. He said what he
And
said.
and Spurs were doing better than Chelsea. Like,
You
let's
know,
not forget about that. Like, that's kind of wild in and of itself.
but to me, with Graham, let me take it further. We might have to look at something right now that hasn't really been talked about, but I'm gonna bring it up right now. English managers. Does this tell you that maybe you got to be honest right now? A lot of English managers aren't good enough. As much as I know we're in England, we want to you want to promote like English managers, but Jack, we've seen a lot of them are out of their depth. Graham Potter was really, I know people may say Eddie Howe, but when Eddie Howe wasn't in the job, people weren't clamoring to have him in a like in a job like that. Graham Potter was the shining light. He was the one everyone saying that give him a job, give him time, and he's gonna do something. He got the job. Granted, he didn't get time, but this lets me kind of realize that
James,
our English managers
but
at that
didn't he get
level,
time? Didn't he get time?
Jack.
Didn't you say 30 plus games?
Yeah, but Jack, that's not a lot.
No, it's
that's not a lot.
It's not a lot, but with the players you have, a 39% win percentage, no, that to me that is kind of to a certain extent like time. I think that at least to see something, that was always the thing. Like referencing back to Mikel Arteta, early days when things weren't going well, you could see each game. There's something there. It didn't quite work, but there's something there. Graham Potter, it's like I don't know what's going on here.
But
But let me answer your question though. This is just I haven't thought about this in great detail. This is just off the top of my head. I think English managers are really good at motivating and inspiring a defensive mentality. So I look at like somebody like Sean Dyche, right? Sean Dyche is great. Low block, 4-4-2, English manager, right? All this kind of stuff. I think he's great at that. A sophisticated, title winning, fluid, kind of expressive style of football. I don't know if English managers really have that club in the bag. I really don't. And maybe you're right. Maybe this is an indictment on English managers. Steven Gerrard's come in to a Premier League job, failed. Frank Lampard's come in to a couple Premier League jobs, failed. So maybe you're right. Maybe you're right. We'll see what happens with Eddie Howe. My prediction would still be that when Newcastle win a Premier League in the next 10 years, he probably won't be the manager. That would just be my guess. But who knows? I don't want to doubt the guy.
Again, we can talk more about Graham Potter and what he did wrong at Chelsea. I think to me the biggest thing that he didn't do at Chelsea was establish who he is as a coach, establish who he is as a manager, Jack. You know,
Right.
How many times you seen him chop and changing for the opposition every single week, and as a player sometimes not having that fluidity and what we're going to do as a team and what we recognize ourselves to be as a team can be frustrating. Have to come in like change and adapt to an opposition isn't the greatest thing, especially when you're better than, let's say, Jack, 70% of the opposition that like you come up against with
And the
week in and
best.
week out.
Like,
You know, there is no need for a tactical change all the time, and maybe that's a thing that kind of obviously made it difficult for him. The injuries was a thing, but he did have a lot of players coming in, a lot
That's
of
what
players coming in. You
and
know,
that's what I'm saying. But James, like, not like schlubs in the under 21s who he's just given a shot to because he has to. It's like N'Golo Kante's injured. Okay, no worries. But how much did he spend on Enzo Fernandez? Like, I feel like that's a pretty reasonable replacement in there coming in. Like, how much did you spend on Mudryk? Like, okay, Sterling might not be fit for a game, but like, you're bringing in these guys who are tens of millions of pounds and supposed to be these next gen superstars coming up. Like, come on, James. The thing I want to talk about, and I hope if you want to kind of end this or cut me off, please feel free. But like, I'm worried by the next person coming in though, because I don't know if like Julian Nagelsmann gives me like Villas Boas vibes. I like, I'm not like, same with the Spurs job. You remember me saying about this too. I like Julian Nagelsmann, I do, but I think he did really, really well in a job at Schalke. Right? He then got kind of
I don't know.
gifted.
It was RB Leipzig.
Oh, Leipzig, you're absolutely right. Sorry, I misspoke. You're absolutely right. He did well in the job there. He's then kind of gifted this job in Bayern, which we both know, again, like all jobs are hard, blah, 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 blah. But when you have the best thing and you win, just in my book, I'm not super impressed with you. He's then been let go. Is he going to come into the Premier League at Chelsea with all the stuff they've got going on and have this great success? It gives me the sense. Remember when Villas Boas came in and it was like, dude, this guy's young. He's still got color in his hair. Look at his beard. Guy's a stud. He's going to be the next big thing coming in here. He came from Porto, right? I think. Like
Yes,
that's
yes, yes.
where
He won the treble
that's
with
where Mourinho
Porto.
came. Like Mourinho came from, I think, or like, oh my god, like I'm just saying, if I keep saying this man's name, if I'm Todd Bowley, I'm calling Luis Enrique and I'm giving him a blank check and I'm being like, what can we do to get you here? Because you're the kind of guy I think that can lead us to have success here. Julian Nagelsmann gets announced. Yeah, it's fun and it's sexy and all this kind of stuff, but I'd be a little anxious if I was a Chelsea fan and he was the man coming in.
So just Jack, just like you, my 3 ones is obviously Luis Enrique and Nagelsmann too. But another one that for me fits the Chelsea mold. He might not play the greatest football, but he gets the job done. He's a winner. Is Diego Simeone, and he isn't there he isn't there for a short time. He's there for a long time. I could see him coming to Chelsea and building it. It might not be the most attractive, but building this style that gets Chelsea back to where they want to be. And you know what? He would remind me of a previous Chelsea manager. Might not be as arrogant as him, but he would. But he reminds me of Jose Mourinho wearing that black suit, the black hair. I think he would fit so well in the Chelsea dugout. Chelsea would have to change a little bit. Maybe the players they've signed doesn't quite suit him, but want results.
Call Diego Godin, get him in, you know.
But if Chelsea want results, I think Diego Simeone would be another shout. But Chelsea fans, let me know, what do you think about this Graham Potter debacle? Yeah, what do you think about Todd Bowley with like what's gone on this year? The fact that you're gonna have 3 managers in 1 year. Let us know. Comment down below, guys. Please like, share, and subscribe, and we'll see you next time.